Hey family, welcome back to my desk. Dr. Dandridge here. And inside of today's conversation, I want to speak to those who might have a little bit of fear regarding the financial uncertainty and the talks about recession inside of our economy. The Bible gives us some things that we can implement today in order to help us make it through this season. So I want us to watch just how other individuals are managing the world today. And then we're going to have the conversation on how God leads us inside of these seasons of fear. So let's watch together, okay?
We don't panic during recessions, we prepare for them. Listen to your millennial friends, especially your frugal ones, because they're the ones that are going to help you survive this fourth or fifth or sixth, whatever once in a lifetime event we are going to experience.
Are you ready for a recession? Are you ready for a food shortage? Are you prepared for when the grocery stores don't have food on the shelf anymore? I'm going to show you how to prepare now while you still can. The good thing about canned foods is that you can use them while you store them. So whenever I go to the store, I buy more cans. I put the new ones in the back to bring the oldest ones forward. That way, I never have old cans sitting around.
Dad this weekend about the stock market crash, and he was like, you should really consider investing in stocks right now, because I remember back in 2008 when that financial crisis happened. I considered buying stocks at the time, but I just didn't do it because I was going through the process of tenure at university. He worked as a scientist, so he was just really busy with work and he never got to it. And he was like, I kick myself for it every single day, because if I had bought the stocks that I was considering at the time, I would be like a multimillionaire right now.
All right, so the first thing I want you to do is to store with strategy, not scarcity. We get this from the book of Genesis, the 41st chapter, verses 33 through 36. You remember where Joseph was in Egypt, and he literally created one of the first miracles ever recorded inside of the Bible. He didn't panic, he planned. He stored with strategy, not fear. Let me ask you something. Do you have a Sabbath pantry? That's what I call a simple 7-day emergency stash. Stash of food, toiletries, meds, those type of things. Not because you're afraid, but because you believe God gives wisdom in the calm before the storm. So what I want you to do is I want you to start small, maybe one shelf, one drawer, and then rotate it out monthly, because planning is biblical, hoarding is fear. The second thing I want you to do is to diversify like the Proverbs 31 woman. We get this from the book of Proverbs, the 31st chapter, verses 16, 18, and 24. Listen, sis had a side hustle before side hustles were a thing. She bought land, sold fabric, kept her oil lamp on. She wasn't just virtuous. No, this woman was a visionary. Listen, recession is the perfect time to ask, what's in my hands? Do you cook, braid hair, write well? Can you resell old clothes that you have online? This is what I want you to try this week. Take one skill and ask, could I make $50 from this skill this month? That's literally where it all starts. The third thing that I want you to do is don't eat your seed. The book of Second Corinthians, the 9th chapter and the 10th verse demonstrates this so well, because God gives seed to sow and bread to eat. The problem is sometimes we eat both. Here's the thing. Every time you get paid, I want you to ask, what part of this is bread for now and what part is seed for later? Try putting just 10% aside just as growth money. It's not a tithe, it's not a bill. It's just designed for your future. Use that money to invest in a course, in a skill, in a dream. And trust me, I want to stretch you, because when you do this, you honor God as a sower. All right? Not a sower in other people, not a sower in ministries, but a sower in yourself. And the scripture lets us know and confirms to us that God honors the sower. All right? The fourth thing I want you to do is to build a resource circle. The book of Acts, the second chapter, verses 44 through 45, gives us a great illustration of this. The early church shared everything, and they didn't lack a thing. In hard times, your biggest resource isn't always money, it's people. I want you to try this. Grab 3 to 5 people you trust and start a resource circle. Check in once a month, share deals, swap skills, buy groceries in bulk together, pray together. Because here's the thing, there's power in partnership. I'm going to tell you later a story about a woman that I discovered who actually used her resource circle and it saved her during a time of eviction. So stick around for that, okay? The fifth thing I want you to do is to practice prophetic budgeting. We get this from the book of Luke, the 14th chapter and the 28th verse, where Jesus said to count the cost before you build. Here's the thing. Your budget shouldn't just reflect your reality. It should also reflect your faith. So I want you to do this week. I want you to write 2 budgets, one for your worst month and one for your faith-filled future. Then ask God to help you live wisely today without killing tomorrow's vision. See, here's the thing. Budgeting is spiritual, not just about spreadsheets. The sixth thing I want you to do is to fast for focus, not just faith. We get this from the book of Matthew, the 6th chapter, verses 17 and 18, because we have to realize and go back and see one of my other videos and playlists on fasting, because sometimes fasting isn't about food. It's about focus. Try fasting from spending one day a week. Turn off the buying. Sit with your thoughts. Ask God on that day, where am I leaking money? And also, where am I holding on to fear? And when you do this, you'll be able to see how fasting tightens your faith and your wallet. Listen, your stomach isn't the only thing that shrinks in a fast. So does your fear. Number 7, I want you to remember the birds. We have a great illustration of this inside the book of Matthew, the 6th chapter and the 26th verse, where Jesus said to look at the birds. They don't sow or store, but God feeds them. That ain't a metaphor. That's a strategy. What I want you to do this week is I want you to start a provision journal. Every time something unexpected shows up inside of your life, a refund, a gift, a random blessing, write it down. Why? Because we forget things so fast. And your own testimony can become fuel when the bank account starts to look funny. Number 8, rest when it makes no sense. Got to go to the Old Testament here, the book of Exodus, the 16th chapter, verses 23 through 30. God told them to gather manna for 6 days and rest on the 7th. And he didn't send anything on that day, which means sometimes your rest is your test. I want you to try a no-spend Sabbath once a week. You don't buy anything. You don't hustle to try to make any money. You rest and let God show you that his provision isn't based on your grind. The 9th thing I want you to do is to stay generous, even as recession looms. Proverbs, the 11th chapter and the 21st and the 25th verse encourages us, because I want you to really hear something hard inside of this moment, because hard times don't cancel our generosity. They actually clarify it. What I want you to try to do this week is to keep a little give jar at home, even if it's just $10 a month, and use it to bless someone. Bless somebody with groceries, with coffee, with a card, and watch how that $10, that small amount, opens up doors you didn't see coming. Why? Because God honors open hands, especially in tight seasons. Finally, I want you to speak prosperity. not panic. Proverbs 18:21 is our reference here because words have weight. Don't speak yourself into a drought. What I want you to do this week is to write 5 recession declarations, and I want you to speak them every single morning. Declarations like, God supplies all of my needs. I will have more than enough to be a blessing. I live in overflow, not fear. See, your words will walk ahead of your finances. So learn how to speak what you expect, not what you're afraid of. Now, remember that resource circle that I mentioned earlier? I know a young lady, a single mom whose rent went up, job hours were cut, and almost gave up. But her 3-person circle, they each chipped in $50 and gave her. One let her and her kids stay with them for 2 weeks. Another shared groceries with her. And it was not by coincidence. No, that was kingdom building right here. So here's your challenge for the week, okay? I want you to pick 2 of these principles and start to implement them this week, all right? And if this video blessed you, I want you to share it. Send it to someone who's feeling the squeeze right now. And I want you to know that you're not alone. And also, you're not without a strategy because now you have these unconventional, almost non-preached things that you can do in order to help you live through these uncertain times. Thank you for joining me at my desk. I'm Dr. Dandridge. Do me a favor, look inside of the description, check out affiliate links, support by purchasing from the store. And I want you to stay grounded. I want you to stay wise. But most importantly, inside of this season, I want you to stay ready.